The world was warming back to life when it seemed to change its mind. Ice was retreating. Grasslands opened. Mammoths still moved across North America. Then, around 12,900 years ago, the temperature dropped with a violence that did not need an explosion to feel apocalyptic. In some places, the evidence is a dark band in the earth, the black mat. It looks less like a beginning than a line drawn under a world already in trouble. This part is not fringe. The Younger Dryas was real. A cold reversal lasting roughly from 12,900 to 11,600 years ago, interrupting deglacial warming in the northern hemisphere. NOAA treats it as one of the clearest examples of abrupt climate change. In Greenland, the end of it may have brought about 10 degrees Celsius of warming in a decade. The argument begins only when people ask why it started. Mainstream paleoclimate work has long favored a vast pulse of fresh water into the North Atlantic, weakening ocean circulation. But in 2007, Richard Firestone and colleagues offered a harsher answer. A comet or asteroid fragment exploding over northern North America, leaving iridium, magnetic microspherules, nanodiamonds, soot, charcoal, and that famous black layer at about 12.9 thousand years ago. It was a theory with terrible elegance. Firestone's paper linked the cold snap to the end of Clovis, to biomass burning, and to the disappearance of mammoths, mastodons, horses, camels, and other megafauna. At Murray Springs in Arizona, mammoth bones and Clovis tools sit below the black mat, not above it. C. Vance Haynes wrote that the animals were there an instant before the black mat was deposited. For a public already trained by the dinosaur-killing impact, this sounded familiar. One skyborne event, one horizon line, one explanation for too many endings at once. But archaeology and climate history are rude to neat endings. A 20 and 20 synthesis places Clovis between about 1350 and 12,750 calibrated years before present. That means its disappearance overlaps the Younger Dryas onset, but overlap is not confession. Clovis did not vanish into mythic smoke. It gave way to other regional traditions. The same problem shadowed the impact markers. In 2013, a Greenland ice core study reported a large platinum anomaly during the transition. In 2017, another team found platinum enrichments at 11 sites across 6 U.S. states, with average concentrations around 6 parts per billion against a background near 0.3. That looked briefly like a proper horizon. Then the evidence began behaving like evidence. Pigotti and colleagues showed in 2012 that some supposed impact markers could accumulate naturally in desert wetlands. In 2016, a blind test at Lubbock Lake in Texas sent identical sediment splits to different labs. The result was reproducibility trouble, very low to non-existent magnetic microspheres, and low or absent nanodiamonds where the boundary was supposed to declare itself. Even the most cinematic candidate, Greenland's Hiawatha crater, dissolved on contact with dating. Redated in 2022 to about 58 million years old, it turned out to be a spectacular crater from the wrong catastrophe. That is where the hypothesis lives now, not as proven history, but as a recurring temptation. It survives because it compresses a messy transition into a single night of fire. The 2023 review in Earth Science Reviews put the counterargument plainly. No crater has been identified at the onset of the Younger Dryas. Many proposed markers have terrestrial explanations, and the hypothesis should be rejected on current evidence. Recent headlines have not helped. On February 11, 2026, PLOS-1 retracted a 2025 shocked quartz paper, citing problems with the age model and sampling strategy. In 2026, PLOS also marked a Baffin Bay paper retracted after concerns over chronology, citations, methodology, and even the misidentification of supposed cosmic material. And still, the story matters. Not because a comet definitely ended Clovis. It matters because the Younger Dryas is real proof that climate can shift with terrifying speed, and because abrupt change invites singular explanations whether the evidence deserves them or not. The better comparison is not just Chicxulub, where the crater is there and the case is overwhelming. It is every episode in history where one dramatic cause is asked to explain 1,000 complicated losses. The cold snap is real. The murder weapon remains under appeal. If you liked what you watched, please like and subscribe. We post interesting and crazy stories from throughout history every Wednesday and Saturday. Yesterday's craziness? Because yesterday was crazy too.